Hello friends! There are many amazing brushes that come pre-installed with Procreate, and we're going to explore some of them. In this video, I'm going to test the Derwent brush. To find this brush, go down to the sketching section, and second on the list is Derwent. Now I have not made any changes in the brush studio. I'm going to be using the brush exactly as it was installed. And because the default size on this brush is fairly small, I'm actually going to be working on a smaller canvas this time. I have it set to 1500 pixels square at 300 dpi. As usual, we're going to start by taking a look at the brush behaviors. So we'll do a couple stroke tests. This is the brush at a really small size. And you can see even at this smaller canvas, it's really tiny. This is a medium size, and this is a brush at its largest size. The smallest size is so small that it looks pixelated. You start to see the texture come through at the medium size, and then at the largest size, you can see the grainy texture and the edges of the stroke are really soft and a little feathered. And it looks like there is a tiny bit of a taper, not much, and it looks like it might also be ever so slightly pressure sensitive. So as you can see, if I apply light pressure, the stroke is a little thinner and lighter in value compared to a thicker, denser stroke with more pressure. Now, if I hold the brush with a loose grip, I get a really nice texture. It looks like I'm drawing on a really toothy, textured paper. Now I'm going to do a quick swatch test to see what it looks like when colors are layered on top of one another. The brush is pretty much opaque, but because of the grain, you can see the colors overlapping a little bit. Now if I switch over to the smudge tool, let's see what that does. Now with smudging, the colors really don't blend. It does smooth out the texture a bit, but it doesn't completely lose all of its texture. Since this is a sketching brush, rather than drawing a completed illustration, I'm going to draw a quick one-color sketch to see how it performs. You know I like my flowers, so that's what I'm going to draw. I'm starting out just really lightly kind of getting my shape figured out, so I'm barely applying any pressure at this point. I feel like I've mentioned in previous videos that I enjoy sketching with a brush that feels like a soft pencil, as opposed to, say, an ink brush or a hard pencil, for example. And this is definitely giving that soft pencil vibe. It feels really comfortable to draw with, and there's just the right amount of taper. Now I'm going to define those lines a little more. I haven't changed the size of the brush. I'm just pressing down a little harder to apply more pressure. And you can see how much more solid the lines are. Okay, let me try a little shading using the side of the pencil. This feels a little heavy-handed and too dark. Let's see if I reduce the brush opacity, if that helps. Okay, yeah, I think that works a lot better. It can still get a little too dark if I apply too much pressure, though. I'm using an even looser grip with very little pressure here, and that seems to be working for creating some nice soft shading. Back to using a regular grip so I can add the details in the center of the flower. I've got the brush size fairly large here, and I'm applying more pressure so I can get these nice dense marks. I'm just going to play around with hatching here just to bring in another texture. I haven't changed the brush size, but I'm using really light strokes to keep it fairly subtle. Back to more dense, solid strokes to define the stem here. And I'll just keep switching back and forth from light to heavy strokes, from using the tip of the pencil versus the side of the pencil, from smooth shading to a more scratchy hatching technique. And this is what I love about sketching. You can just be loose, experimental, and dynamic with your strokes. For the shading here, I kept the opacity at 100% for one side of the leaf And then I drop the opacity down for a lighter value on the other side. And I can go in with some darker marks to deepen that even more. And I'm using the same basic technique here as well. Okay, I really enjoyed sketching with this brush. It's nice and smooth. You can get a nice range in values. And I really like the texture it creates when you use a loose grip and you use the side of the pencil. Now, is it a better sketching brush than the 6B pencil? I'd say it's equally as good, just a little different. I think for a drawing like this, where I want a really nice range in values and realistic texture, I would definitely use Derwent rather than the 6B pencil. But the Derwent brush does get rather feathery on the edges though. So for simpler, cleaner sketches, especially when I'm sketching for a hand lettering project, for example, I think the 6B pencil will still be my go-to brush for that kind of thing. Really, they're neck and neck for me. I'd love to know, do you have a favorite sketching brush? Please share in the comments. If you'd like to see more from this brush review series, there's a link to the playlist in the description. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, I'd like if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.